3, 2, and uno.
3, 2, and uno.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into TexAgs Rewind, presented by T-Mobile. They want to remind you to visit T-Mobile.com/acrossamerica to learn how you can get value and coverage through T-Mobile. So should we shorten college football? My panel here. Should we shorten the games?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Provide some insight, people. Why not?
Games are fun.
You like them? That's good. Provide a little bit more. Sam?
I think if
That's too
they,
much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Replays need to be shorter, but they got to get the call right. Boom.
Interesting?
Yeah, I agree. The call needs to take less time.
Mayor?
That's fair.
All right. I think we all agree. All right. So we did oh my gosh. We did discuss that on the show today. It was a good conversation. Dennis Dowd has a piece on that. So that was part of our discussion. We also had Charean Williams on the show talking about the NFL Combine. Keith Sanchez was there as well. He's actually in Indy. He gave us an update there from the Draft Network. We talked a little A&M versus Alabama, the preview with Logan Lee. In his recruiting country with Ryan Brauninger, we talked about...
Recruiting.
Recruiting.
Thanks for paying attention. That's really... It's TexAgs Rewind. That Charean Williams with us on the BCSI hotline. Charean, Tom Brady on the news in the news again yesterday. Bruce Arians saying he won't accommodate him if he wants to go play elsewhere. Kind of what I would expect for a team to think if they've got the greatest quarterback of all time. Is Tom really trying to get back in though?
Well, he keeps leaving the door open, and so that's what makes everybody wonder about, is he truly done? And maybe he feels forced by Giselle to have given up football, but he's never used the word retired specifically. So it does leave the door open that he would consider coming back. I don't know where he is in his training. I would expect that he's still training pretty hard. We've seen him play golf this week, but I'd expect that he's still training pretty hard, and maybe with that possibility. The question is, where does he want to go? I suspect that he doesn't want to go back to Tampa because he doesn't see a chance to win the Super Bowl there with all the free agents they have and salary cap problems, et cetera. I think he would like to go elsewhere, perhaps to San Francisco, to try to win another one with a different team, and it certainly would make him even more extraordinary than what he already is. But as much as Arians said, we're not going to trade him, maybe if somebody offered us 5-1, we'd consider it, joking around, it's really probably not there to. If Tom Brady comes into you and says, hey, I want you to cut me or trade me, and I want to go to this team, what are the Bucs going to say? He delivered them a Super Bowl. He gave them 2 outstanding years, 2 of the greatest years in team history. You're not going to say no to Tom Brady. You're going to do whatever he wants you to do, even if it's a trade to an NFC team or even if it's to cut him and not get anything for him. Whatever it is, I think you owe that to Tom Brady to do what he wants you to do. So if he wants to play, he's play, and he's going to play wherever he wants to play. And that could be San Francisco. But I really don't think he's retired. I do think he'll come back and play somewhere. But if it's going to be somewhere else, it needs to be, to me, in my mind, it needs to be sooner than later, because we saw in 2020 him trying to learn the Bucs playbook, and it took almost all season to do it. And they didn't have the typical off season, but he did have the playbook all off season, and it took a long time, even for a veteran of his stature, to learn the playbook.
And then Kenyon Green, another name that I've seen him all over the place as well. A guy's very versatile. What are you hearing about him, and how important is this week for him?
Right. I feel as though with Kenyon Green, his tape speaks for itself, right? So coming to the combine for offensive linemen, it's not like they can run a spectacular 40 dash to really increase, draft stock. But I think now that people are actually cutting on the film and understanding how versatile this guy was, and just the fact that he played anywhere from left tackle to right tackle for the Aggies is a big deal. When you talk about offensive linemen being a very important position and then having that versatility moving forward to provide general managers with some, really good opportunities for flexibility on the roster. So Kenyon Green stock is just continuing to elevate just throughout the draft process, because I think people are really watching the film and understanding the type of player that he is.
So when it's all said and done, these two guys are first rounders potentially, or not potentially, hopefully?
I would say book it. The two guys first rounders. One thing we know about the NFL, man, if you're big, strong, and fast, they're going to draft you, and both of those guys are big, strong, and fast.
All right, we're talking to Keith Sanchez of the Draft Network. So when these teams are meeting with any player, it doesn't have to be Kenyon and DeMarvin here, like, what's the biggest thing they're looking for? Because they've seen all the film before they get here. Yeah, they can run a 40 this time. They can do this and that. The conversation. So how do they kind of get all the information together and make their decision?
Right. So just from my experiences operating with NFL scouts and NFL personnel, the combine is, as much as it is important to get the testing numbers such as 40-yard dash, broad jump, vertical, it's also important just to get to know the NFL prospects as a whole, just to get to know what they get these guys going and what's their why. So the team meetings are probably the most important thing, and I think that the teams are able to draw from the NFL combine.
But if A&M were to win these next two, they'll be 9-9. They'll be in the same level with potentially Florida and South Carolina, right there in the middle of the SEC standings.
Yeah, and no one would have guessed that preseason.
And definitely not midseason.
I'd take that back. When I say no one outside of yours truly. I think I said they were going to end up between 6 and 9. 10 is if they didn't have a good year. 5 is if they had a really good year. But I always thought they were a middle of the pack team. I didn't think they were going to lose 8 in a row. I didn't think they were going to start out 4-0. So you give and take where it comes. But if they can go 4-0 to start, lose 8 in a row, and then finish out winning, 6 of their last 7, that's going to be tough. Alabama is going to be tough. I think Mississippi State's going to be tough. But if they can finish out doing that, yeah, we'll bring this conversation all back to a head and say they will be talked about as a bubble team.
Well, short of a national championship, they're going to finish their season with a loss, right? That's the bottom line. And
I don't know. We're looking at an NIT team. You can win the NIT.
Yeah, you can win the NIT. I stand corrected.
I don't know. I take that back. I don't know if this team can win the NIT.
Just because they play everybody so tight.
Yeah, just because they play to their opponent, and that's tough to do in the postseason. But I'm not going to say it's not possible. I'm going to say it's not possible for them to win the national championship this year.
No, they're not going to win the national championship. But short of winning the NIT,
yep,
they're probably going to finish the season with a loss. So right now, this part is the most important part because I do believe in momentum for the recruiting, for the vibe, for your existing players coming back next year and feeling like they're building something. Because if you lose these next two and have a first-round exit in the SEC tournament, then all this goodwill that you've gotten at the end of the season goes away.
Without question. Then you end on a very sad note. You're down in the dumps. There's something to say about going into the offseason with a little bit of momentum. Mm-hmm. You just feel better. You feel like, hey, we need to gain on this. We need to grow on what we're doing. If you go into the offseason on let's just call it a 3-game losing streak, I don't know. That's tough to overcome for the first couple of weeks at least. You're down in the dumps. You say, man, I'm not working out. I just want to go do this. Again, there are 2 ways that this team could go if that were to happen. Just like we talked about with Marcus Williams being benched, there's 2 ways he could go. One, he could realize that this is something he needed. He needed to refocus, regroup, and get better. Or he could take it personal and have some immaturity to him, and you lose him for a couple of games this season, whatever it is. That's the same way with this team. If they go into the offseason down in the dumps, do they realize we have to get better, and that getting better starts now, no days off, go straight into it? Or do they sulk? Do they complain? Do they not prepare for correctly?
We didn't see that during their 8-game losing streak, though, right? This is a team that did, visibly and behind the scenes, I didn't hear anything about this team. Like, nobody likes to lose, obviously, but like, you didn't see any physical reaction from these guys when things were going south. Ryan Brauninger in studio.
Morning. How's your mama now?
What's that voice?
Huh?
Where's that voice from?
Just country boy.
Just country boy? What's going on in your world, man?
Football and baseball.
Football and baseball.
Spring football and spring tour and camps upcoming, and then baseball schedule for us with A&M and obviously my 12 stuff. So staying busy.
Yeah, that's good. Let's start things off with Overton. I know that Jason had an update yesterday. Just kind of give us a timeline where things are with him, when we could see him here on campus, and the situation with his brother.
Yeah, it's looking like late March for a visit, and by late March, I think the last weekend in March, the 25th. Is that a weekend? Can't do the math in my head based off, but it's March 25th. He's supposed to be in College Station, and then 2 weekends ahead of that, I believe, is his Oregon visit. Mm-hmm. So that would be the 21st. The 11th, the 12th. And then the following weekend, 19th, 20th, is supposed to be at Georgia. Mm-hmm. There are some things that could come into play for where he has to alter that schedule. They're still in the basketball playoffs. So if they make a run to the state championship game, I believe Jason said that would occur on the weekend that he's supposed to visit Oregon. So he would have to do some rearranging with his schedule. But as of now, it looks like A&M will get the last visit in the month of March, and probably looking at a decision in April.
If you got any questions for Brady, you can text us on the A&B text line, 979-693-1150, or you can call us on the BCSI hotlines, that same number.
I should also say that he and his brother do want to play together. Last time I think when we talked about him on the show, we didn't know. We thought they probably wanted to play together, but based on everything Jason had heard, and Jason spoke to some sources really close to LT, I believe that they do want to play together. And so the question goes, would then be posed, does A&M have room to take both? And I think what you would see is A&M figure something out, so that they could both come and play in College Station together. As soon as the brother entered the transfer portal, you saw teams, I believe, like Oklahoma and Oregon immediately offered him.
Right.
That's kind of an enticing deal, right? Hey, look, but I also think you can use that against it can be used against you if you're one of those schools, because it's kind of like maybe a desperation move. A&M is prepared to take both of them, and I think they'd figure it out.
All right, uno, dos, y tres.
Uno, dos, y tres.
Does anybody like Dalton?
It depends on the day. Just kidding. I love Dalton.
Hey, he's all right. Look, he's always working. Look at him right now. Watch him. All right, what are we supposed to do, guys?
Like, subscribe.
Why does everybody act like they don't know the answer?
Yeah, share it.
You
though.
put us on the spot. It makes me nervous.
So tell us all from the beginning,
Camera
everything.
shy. Smash the like button, subscribe, share, comment, all that.
And jumping jacks. What?
Rate.
He's dressed up like he's going to church. That's my man right there.
Wednesday, baby.
His TexAgs Radio, or whatever we're called, TexAgs Radio Line. I forgot the name of the show, but it's brought to you by T-Mobile. Bye.